What's up, guys? Josh from Strength Side. Today we're going over how to improve posture. This is kind of a posture made easy episode because I think that sometimes on the internet it can get really complex, but usually I find with most people there's about 3 things that are usually going wrong in a general sense. And you can bet that if you find that one of these things is off in your body, then it's causing the other things to be off as well. So you definitely want to address all 3 at the same time. So first off, up at the shoulder, usually we're getting into this type of rounded shoulder, kind of rounded upper spine, and we don't have any strength here between the shoulder blades. So those shoulder blade retractors, your middle traps, your low traps, your rhomboids are usually weak, so we need to address that. Now, this kind of can offset how your body sits, and usually we get this kind of anterior tilt here at the hip, causing the hip flexors to become tight, causing the butt to become weak, right? So one thing can kind of lead to the next, no matter where that starts. Maybe it starts here, but then that kind of leads to the upper spine. And then we come back, we come down to the feet, to the ankles, and a lot of the time what we see is that this anterior tilt kind of shifts the weight back and we lose the ability to flex at the ankle, right? So once again, maybe it starts here, maybe it starts here, maybe it starts here. We don't know, we don't really care. We just need to address all 3 of those things. So today I'm going to give you one exercise for each one. Let's get to it. We're going to start with the feet and the ankles. The reason that I want to start here is because I think that a lot of the time people miss this one, right? This one's extremely important. It's your first point of contact with the ground. So if the feet and the ankles are jacked up, then of course it's going to lead to the rest of the body being jacked up. So I mentioned how we need to get more of this dorsiflexion here, right? Being able to kind of fold this ankle. So how are we going to do that? Well, instead of just passively stretching there, like a lot of the time we see people do, we're going to actively pull into some dorsiflexion here and strengthen the front of the shin, right? Very important. So I'm going to lean against a wall like so. I'm going to put my feet out in front of me, and then I'm simply just going to lift the toes up towards the knees. I'm going to pause there for about 2 seconds, and then I'm going to come down. I'm going to repeat, okay? Keeping my knee totally straight here, keeping my hips pressed back against the wall. Hold for 2, really try to just squeeze that area, right? And what I like to have people do with this is, instead of giving you a number of reps, just go till fatigue, right? So maybe for some people that might just be 6 to 8 of these. You might be like, whoo, really feeling it. For other people, you might need to do a little bit more, maybe work up to 15 here, maybe even 20. But trust me, if you're doing this right, keeping that knee locked, pulling that toe back as far as you can, you will reach a point where the front of your shins will be really burning, and that's essentially what we're looking for. Number 2, we're moving on to the hips. Now, if you spend a lot of time sitting down, like most of us do, you're probably already familiar with the feeling of the front of your hips being very tight. Maybe you have even tried some hip flexor stretching, but what I find, same with the ankles, we need to add in a strength component here for us to actually establish some change in the body. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to get into a let me do it from this side, hip flexor stretch position like you've probably seen before. This is half kneeling here, my knees right under my hip. I'm going to really kind of just stiffen up my core here like I was going to get punched. I'm going to squeeze my butt, and I don't want this to happen, extension in the back. I want to flat that out, posterior tilt, get my back nice and flat. Now here's where the strength component comes in. I'm going to lift this knee by digging the toe in and supporting myself on this foot. So it's going to look like this. I'm going to hold here for about 10 seconds. And relax. Okay, so while I'm holding there, really squeezing both of my glutes. This one for sure, this one as well. And we're establishing this hip extension in the body, okay? The tight hips pulling me into anterior tilt here. We're kind of trying to, boom, establish more of that lengthened hip flexor position and strengthen the glutes. Now what I recommend for this is to start with what you can start with, right? If you can get 10 seconds, that's perfect. Let me show it again from this position. So I'm keeping everything pretty narrow here. I'm gonna lift. Now, if you can get 10 seconds, that's where you should start. If not, do what you can start with. Maybe it's only 5 seconds. Maybe you have to just lift the knee, come back down, lift the knee, come back down, and see if you can work your way up to somewhere around 30 seconds. Once you get to 30 seconds, you're really going to be strengthening this open hip position, getting that glute on, opening up front of the hip. So last but not least is strengthening those shoulder blade retractors, right? Those are gonna help get that strength back in the mid back, and that's gonna set those shoulders nicely and get your spine in better alignment. So how we're gonna do that is you're gonna do a horizontal hang. So I'm gonna hang from some type of bar or fixture like so. I'm gonna lift my butt so my body is about parallel to the ground here, okay? Now I'm keeping my knees bent. It's a good way to start out doing this. Now from here, all I'm going to do is stiffen up my core and then pull my shoulder blades back behind me, okay? I'm gonna hold this for 2 seconds, release. Pull back, down. Very simple, but I'm trying to activate that middle part of my back where those shoulder blades come together. I'm pinching them together and back. I'm trying to keep my neck nice and neutral, keep my butt squeezed, so everything in my spine stays neutral. That's gonna ensure that those shoulder blade muscles are the ones working and not my spinal extension muscles. Here. Okay, so what I recommend for those is to do about anywhere from 10 to 15 reps, right? And if you really want to up it on the last rep, maybe go ahead and hold in the contracted position for about 10 seconds. Guys, the important thing about these 3 exercises is they're all very active. A lot of the time, I see people spending a lot of time on passive stretching and just not really getting the results that they want to. And the reason being is because you need to activate things in your body in order to create good change in the body, so we can get that nice posture that we all want, right? Okay, guys, that's the video. Oh, last thing I want to say is that, once again, this is general recommendations. You may have some things going on in your body that need further attention, right? But in general, if you focus on these 3 things, you will be solid. Hey, like the video, smash the like button, subscribe to Strength Side. As always,